Welcome to Courageous Conversations about Sex, Pleasure, and Intimacy with me, Sarah Rose Bright. In this series, I'm answering questions that take courage to ask. And today I'm asking the question, why am I not enjoying sex? As a sex, pleasure, and intimacy coach, I have a unique insight into the sex lives of hundreds and hundreds of people. So I really want to share the things that commonly I'm asked. And with this question, I work a lot with women, and I'm commonly asked this question by women. However, it absolutely can be asked by all genders. There may be many different reasons why you're not enjoying sex. So if this is you, please stay tuned. So today I'm going to share with you three common reasons that I regularly see. And the first one, I want to start with a quote from a question from an amazing sex therapist called Peggy Kleinplatz. And Peggy asked, is the sex that you are having worth wanting? People often come to me saying that they're not enjoying sex, but think there's something wrong with them because they're not enjoying it. But it's actually the type of sex that they are having. Peggy went down this trajectory when she was with a client, and the client was describing the sex life that she was experiencing. And Peggy found herself saying something like, if I was having that sex, I wouldn't want it either. And apparently they just both burst out laughing and it broke the ice. But also, this question then became such an incredible question to ask. And so, the type of sex that we learn is often porn or movie type sex, which is very limited, very linear, very goal based, going for hotter and faster, culminating in penetration and climax. And it's just straight down this route. And if we deviate off or we don't get to those end points of penetration and climax, that it's not somehow successful sex. And actually, that's only one type of sex. And if we do the same thing over and over again, we would get really bored with it. And also, it's not pleasurable and comfortable for many people. It's not enjoyable for lots of different reasons, but it's often the only type we learn. And time again, I work with clients who are trying to do sex in this so-called sort of way they should be doing it, but it just doesn't work for their bodies or who they are as human beings or their pleasure, all sorts of different things. So that leads me on secondly to the second common reason of why you might not be enjoying sex is that you don't know what you want. And this is such a common reason that I see all the time. And people often feel shame for not knowing what they want. And we should know what we want. Like we should be born with this inbuilt piece of software that tells us exactly what we enjoy and what we want. But just like learning what foods suit our bodies or what ways we like to spend our time, what exercise works, it takes time to learn and discover what sex and pleasure works, what type of sex and pleasure works for us. We don't have any great education, and often we don't have any permission to enjoy it. For me, I was very much raised to be the good girl, and I didn't figure in the pleasure. For me, it was about pleasing the other person. And, only last week I had a client say to me after we've been doing a little bit of work together that it was the first time that she thought about her own needs in a sexual experience and allowed herself to feel pleasure and started to get curious about what she liked. And she had certain things she did like, but also felt embarrassed and shamed about them as well. So we need to know what we want to be able to enjoy sex or have some good sense of that. And that takes time and education and discovery and practice and learning. And thirdly, that even if you did know what you wanted, you might not be able to communicate that. Many people I work with feel that you shouldn't have to communicate, that sex should just be telepathic, you should just know what to do. Well, I would not go to a restaurant with my partner and choose their food and expect them to choose my food. I'd expect to look at the menu and tune in and go, oh, I fancy this today. And it's exactly the same with our pleasure. What is it that feels good in your body today? And there can be times when it can be with no words and just happen. And it can be great. But there's other times when we might need to say, can we go a bit slower? Can we try this? Could you touch me firmer, lighter? All of these different things. And so great sex takes communication to learn about each other's bodies and get a sense of that. And even then, it's ever changing. Um, as women with our menstrual cycles and what can feel good one day can be irritating the next, and might feel we want something totally the opposite. And that's the same for everybody. Our pleasure changes. We're continually changing beings, and we're continually evolving and growing. So our pleasure changes. So we need to be able to communicate that. But often we don't have a language for that. We are nervous. I personally, and I've worked with so many people who are nervous, have been nervous about communicating because, for example, they may have had a partner who's taken that personally or critically, or maybe how we've delivered it has come across in that way. I remember once someone saying, it's women, we know what we don't want, but what we do want. So how do we voice what we do want? How do we voice things in a way that creates connection and communication, rather than can appear like criticism? So saying things in terms of positive ways, like asking, how does this feel? How can I make this even better? And that language and practice takes time and practice to evolve and to feel comfortable with. However, 100% it can happen. So reason one is the sex you're having worth wanting? Is it sex that you feel, yes, this is something I really want to enjoy, but why am I not enjoying it? Or actually, is it, gosh, it's not actually that enjoyable, if I'm honest? And that can be a scary place if we're with a relationship, to have that conversation. Secondly, we maybe don't know what we want. You may not know what you want for many different reasons. And thirdly, you might not be able to communicate that even if you did. So these are so common. Sometimes, very often, I work with clients who are experiencing all of these questions and concerns and challenges. So it's totally natural if you're experiencing this, given the sex negative society and the lack of education that we have. And so it takes time. As I said, it's lifelong learning. So get curious about the times you've enjoyed sex and what's made it enjoyable. Get curious about what you fantasize or you imagine great sex looks like. Get curious about, by talking to your partner or partners. We often, for example, I was talking to a client last week, and it's like, he said, oh, my partner enjoyed this when he did something. So my suggestion was to ask, why did she enjoy it? Because she might have enjoyed it for several different reasons, but we often don't talk about it. And when we talk about it, we can learn so much about each other, because it might be that she enjoyed the sensation in the body when he touched in a certain way, but it also might be she enjoyed how it made her feel, or it might be that she enjoyed the connection between the two of them. And that's great information to know, to really get curious with each other and have conversations about what feels good and why. So then you can create more of it. And there's so much out there these days: books, classes, YouTubes, workshops, videos, coaches like myself. So go and get some support as well, because it can make the journey a whole lot more fun and easier. So thank you for watching. Please do like this video and comment if it's been helpful. Please share it as well. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can hit the bell for notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, check out these suggestions for you.